gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7.
Good evening and welcome to Believe in the Journey podcast, where I am your host, Triveda Harris. And it is good to love it because it is an inspirational conversation. Definitely don't want to miss it. But before we do anything, we got to go to God in prayer. So join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for coming to us tonight as you do each and every time we're in front of you. Let the words of our mouths fall upon the ears that need to hear. Let them take what they need from this message that they're going to receive tonight. Let them be able to move from the place of being stuck and stagnant to being open and profound. Everything that we do is because of you. We are nothing without you. So continue to bless us in the ways that you see fit. In your precious and holy name, Jesus, I pray. Now, my two wonderful guests that I have are Mr. Edward Surratt and Mrs. Tanisha Linda Briggs. These are two very amazing people. I don't know why I want to call you Dr. Surratt, but it seems fitting. So I'm going to stick with that. If that's what God leads me to say, that's what I'm going to say. He's a transformational speaker, coach, ordained elder
Let
of
me. I'm gonna
over
do it for
30
you. I'm gonna
years.
do it for you because I don't know what to tell you.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
She's still trying to get in.
I apologize. We've been working on this, and she still can't get in. And oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Yeah. She's still trying to get in, and she's downloaded what she's supposed to download, and I don't know what's going on. Um,
Um, let's
and
see if we can resend her the link. I'm gonna send it to you again and see if that helps. I don't know. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see.
can she call in and talk that way? I mean, I don't know what else.
I don't well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we can have her on speaker if you would like. I guess that'll work. I don't know if it'll be a bunch of feedback though.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a new one on this platform for me. I have no idea. But if we can't get her tonight, it's no worries. There's definitely going to be more opportunities for her to come on. So there's absolutely no stress and no worries.
Yeah, because I don't. Wow.
Yeah, it's always something different when you're dealing with technology, so you never know what you're going to encounter. But I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that she's trying. Just introduce yourself a little bit. I know I gave a little bit of a introduction, but let the people know who you are.
Okay. Well, my name is Edward Surratt, and you said doctor, but I'm Edward Surratt, and wow, introduce myself. I'm a minister is one thing, but I do a lot of motivational speaking, and one thing that I'm really proud of is being an empowerment coach, helping people achieve their dreams, helping people make their dreams come true. And that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing I'm really proud of that I really help. Work with a lot of young people, work with a lot of young adults, work with a lot of athletic teams, just helping them. And I deal a lot with people dealing with their culture. And
Okay.
oftentimes people talking about when things aren't going right, things their team isn't performing the way they should perform, it's
Yeah.
always dealing with culture, their culture, and that's the first thing I do. First thing I talk about. So, what is your culture like? What is your culture? Is your culture directing you in the direction that you need to go, or is it directing you in the way that it's always been? And oftentimes, I found out that people are doing the same thing that they've always done. It's because of the culture. So,
Yeah.
but I do a lot of motivational speakings. I mean, I love to talk and I love to help people. And I hate that my client Tanisha couldn't get on tonight um, because she has a very powerful story.
She
And
definitely does.
yes, a very powerful
It's
story.
the title
And
of her book is awesome.
yes, so but I mean that's what I do. And I've helped her, and then she got some things coming up. And so that's me in a nutshell. That's me in a nutshell. And I just hate that she can't get on, but I can talk about what she's doing, and I can talk about me. I can talk. That's what I do. I can talk.
Well, listen, we could definitely do that. We could definitely talk. And you can tell me about her. And like I said, we're always going to have an opportunity for her to be on here if once we figure this whole thing out. So it's definitely no worries on that. Um, so you say you help people to identify their culture that keeps them stuck in certain positions. How do you go about doing that?
Well, as an empowerment coach, I meet with them, and they always tell me the problems as far as why they're stuck, and we
Mhm.
look at why they're stuck, and we look
Okay.
at the fact that okay, things aren't really going the way they want them to, and so we just started just picking away, like okay, you have this goal, you have this dream, you have these things you want to do, but nothing is happening. Let's
Hmm.
dig in to find out why it's not happening. Let's dig in to
Right.
find out why you haven't written a book, you haven't um, started that business. You've been trying to do this, this, and this, but it's been on the shelf for the past 10, 15, 20 years, and nothing is happening. And oftentimes, we just start right there. We
Hmm.
start where you want to go. Where do you see yourself? Okay, let's
Yeah.
build a roadmap to getting there. Let's get that roadmap going to get you to that place. And so
How do you get them to actually get off of their, I guess you could say, their comfort zone? What motivational tools do you use to say, okay, yep, you got a destination, but you're still sitting? You've been sitting for 5 years now talking about what it is that you want to do. Why are you still here? And what can I do today to help you get started? What do you say to them when they are right there after they've had the initial conversation? What
that
gets them moving?
Yeah, what I say to them, they gotta look past where you are. Look
Mm-hmm.
past where you are because so many people they're stuck because they're looking at where they are. They're
Yeah.
looking at where they are and they can't see past that. And oftentimes when I'm dealing with young people, they don't know anybody that has achieved the goal that they're trying to set. They don't know anybody that's, even speaking for myself, I'm the only author in my family, in my entire.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, I didn't see authors. Growing up, I didn't see entrepreneurs. Growing up, you see how you work 20, 30 years, you retire, you get to go watch, sit on the porch and rocking chair and just.
Yeah.
So you weren't taught entrepreneurship. You weren't taught these things. So first of all,
Right.
I allow people to see where they are. Then okay,
Hmm.
let's take it for let's see where you want to go. Let's
Right.
see where you want to go. And by allowing them to see where they want to go, now their minds expand because you're changing that mindset. And now
Yeah.
when their minds expand, you go like, wow, I can get there. Yes, you
Yeah.
can. Now let me help you
Yeah.
get there. Let's build a roadmap to getting you to that place where you want to be. Let's build that roadmap.
And I think that's really important for people to understand that you don't have to stay in the place that you've been in. Your neighborhood has been a place that you grew up in, the people that you've been familiar with. Sometimes it's okay to be the only person in the room that doesn't look like you, to be able to show you that outside is different and you can actually achieve anything that you set your mind to. Do you think that sometimes we get comfortable in our surroundings and we don't allow ourselves to see outside of where we are because we don't want to be talked about or look at crazy for wanting more for ourselves than our cousin or our mom or our dad or somebody that's that close to us. We don't want to make it seem like we're trying to be better than them. Do you think that's sometimes that what keeps people in
Oh,
those
yeah.
comfortable positions?
Yes. I mean, I've dealt with people who have gone to college and got these degrees, which, I'm not against education. And they've worked
Right.
in this field for 20 years, but they've worked 20 years unhappy. But they got
Mm-hmm.
so comfortable with having a steady paycheck, but they're
Right.
unhappy. I got a steady paycheck coming in every other week, but this is not what I want to do. This is not what God has called me to do. And a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
don't really search and really follow that God-given purpose because they
Right.
are afraid, like you say, they are afraid of what somebody's going to say. You
Yeah.
know, if I follow my God, God is telling me to step out. Wait a minute, hold up. God is telling me to step out. Yeah, God is telling you to step out. But what are my friends going to say? If I step
Yeah.
out and try to start my business, what are my friends going to say? If I step out and try to write a book, what are my friends going to say? What's my family going to say? And I'm like, hey, forget about what your friends and the family. They've never written you a check to pay your bills. So now you walking in the
Yeah.
purpose of God. And if you walking in God's purpose, God's going to take care of you. And a lot of people
Absolutely.
get so comfortable and get so comfortable where they are, they don't want to go where they want to go.
Right. They
So
don't want to be
that
uncomfortable.
that comfort zone destroys so many people. That comfort zone keeps so many people down. That comfort zone destroys so many dreams. And it's so
Yes.
frustrating because I'm like, get out of that comfort zone. Get out of that comfort zone. So, you know, yeah, that comfort zone is definitely
It's
it,
a trap in some senses. I feel like, you get in this box and you want more for yourself. You know that you're capable of more. Like I was having a conversation with my dad not too long ago, from one of the podcasts that I had done, and he was listening in, and I was talking about you find your purpose in the things that you're passionate about, and the one thing that God keeps pushing you to do. And after the show, my dad texted me and he was like, he didn't know what his purpose was.
mm,
And, and
wow,
I told him, I said, well, Dad, I can't really tell you what your purpose is, but the one thing that you find comfort, peace, and you're very, very passionate about, try to look more into that because there is something that God has been tugging at you to do for a long time. And for a long time, you've ignored that one thing for whatever reason. I'm not sure what it is, but you got to tap into that because I don't know what it is that you've always had the desire to do. But until you decide to say, okay, God, I'm not going to run from what it is that you've been pushing me towards and go ahead and do it, you'll understand that your purpose is bigger than what you ever imagined.
absolutely, absolutely.
That's one thing I had to do for myself though, because starting my writing journey like publicly, like I've always written as a kid, as a little girl, because that was my way of expressing myself. Without interruption, without anybody saying, that's not how you feel, and so on and so forth. And so when I first imparted on this journey of an author, of course, my best friend was instrumental in that as well. But it was the fact of I was writing poetry. I would post it on Facebook and everything, but that was as far as I was going. Then there was an opportunity for me to do a spoken word event, something I was not fond of doing because I have a fear of public speaking, which is hard for people to believe in any capacity when they meet me. So I definitely am not the one to, at least at not that point and not that time. I was not the one for public speaking in any capacity. But I stepped outside of my comfort zone and I went to the spoken word event and I did one of my poems. But with this writing, I had people tell me that they would not have put their name on my poetry book because number one, it didn't look perfect. It looked like a bunch of stuff that was thrown together, but it was 26 of my favorite poems. And mind you, I didn't have any idea what formatting looked like, what editing looked like, or anything of that nature. I was just obedient to what God was saying I needed to do. And that was put the poems in book form and hit send. And that's exactly what I did. And I didn't think about it. I didn't stress over it too much, even though I'm kind of a perfectionist. So I went back and re edited it. And so when I did my second book, I could see the growth in what I had done. But had I listened to the people that were saying, oh, I wouldn't have put my name on that, I would not be where I am now. I would not be hosting this podcast. I would not be, how many books have I written now? I've written 6 for myself. I've helped co-write 6 as well. So it's a total of 12 books that I've been able to do. And stepping out on what God said in that prayer, praying, going into 2019, God helped me to step out of my comfort zone, remove those people who are not connected to the destiny in which you have for me, and help me to be okay with that. And when
Wow.
I tell you, I did not know what I was asking for, because he truly has helped me to step out of my comfort zone. He has connected me to the people that have been connected to this destiny and to this journey that I'm on. And I couldn't ask for a better group of women that I'm in, especially with Miss Angela, because I met her doing a podcast, a virtual monologue event in 2021. And we've been connected ever since.
Awesome. 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 Good
And
deal.
so, it's very vital to make sure that you have people that are surrounding you that are connected to pouring into you versus depleting you.
Oh
How
yeah.
important is that to you?
Now that's very important. Now I tell my clients, you know, you got to have when you step out, when you really walking in your purpose and following what God is wanting you to do,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to lose friends, but you're going to gain people who's going to truly pour into you. And you have
Yeah,
to really make up your mind like this is I'm going for this. I'm going to start this business. I'm going to write that book. I'm going to do it. And so when you start, when you really step out on the faith and when you step out knowing that God has you, stepping out knowing that God is directing your steps, then yeah,
yeah,
you're going to lose people. And oftentimes I tell a lot of my clients, the closest ones to you aren't the ones who's going to support you.
right,
When you step out, yes, you're going to lose people, but God is going to give you a tight knit. God is going to give you those people that's going to lift you up when you feel like giving up. They're going to lift you up when you're like, I'm tired. No, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. And when you get to that finish line, you're going to look back and you're going to see, like, wow, I know who was there for me. I know who was there with me. I know the
yeah,
ones whom I can call. And I
yeah,
tell people all the time, a lot of my clients, 99% of the time, those people who are there with you, for you, the ones you can call, aren't the ones in your household, aren't the ones, that you grew up with, and that's just the way it is. That's the way it
yeah,
is. And that doesn't mean that your family is against you. It doesn't mean that they're trying to hold you back. It's just the fact that no one in the family has started a business. No one in the family it has done what you're striving to do. So they're
right,
looking out for you like, hey, you don't know what you're doing. I'm afraid for you. You need to stay in this job.
yeah,
This job, stay in this job. You want to stay in this job. But I want
yeah,
to do, no, you need to stay in this job. So it's not like the family is trying to discourage you. They're just
mm,
looking out for you saying, hey, it's
yeah,
best to have something coming in, steady coming in, as opposed to you stepping out there and trying to start something that you have
mhm.
no clue about.
Yeah,
So,
and I get that, especially for the older generation, they are all about stability. And
oh,
so
yeah,
when they're about stability, that is all they know, that is all they see, that is all they hear. And if you don't have a clear cut out blueprint that you can actually hand them, they're like, absolutely not. This is not going to work. You can't do that. You don't have any other source of income. But it's like, okay, you told me to depend on God. God will provide all my needs and anything that I ask for. He will provide it. So he's not going to give me a vision without providing the provisions to see that goal to come to life. So
absolutely.
that was one of the things that I would always say when my aunt, well, I don't see how you going to do that. Well, God told me to do it, so I'm going to do this. And you can't serve man and serve God at the same time. And
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the things that sometimes we get distracted by, because people be like, well, you didn't do what I told you to do. Okay, but I did what God told me to do. And God told me to wait. And so if I'm waiting and I'm not showing up in the space where you want me to show up, that's where God didn't tell me to do that. God told me I needed to be here at this time, at this location, and do this. And so it works out according to his will and his plan for me, not yours. And I think sometimes we get distracted. Well, I wanted you to do this. And even as parents, we do that. I told you to do this. And sometimes we think our kids are being stubborn, but they also have a prayer life with God as well. And if God is telling them to hold on and wait and steadfast, then that's what they have to do. Now we might be like, okay, you should have did that 2 weeks ago. And God said, no, I needed to wait. And then 9 times out of 10, it's usually what God said. They needed to wait and do it the way he said. And it took a lot for me to understand that with my kids. I got 3 grown kids, and I had to understand that their path is not mine. But also with this journey of writing and entrepreneurship and all of that, my kids look at me as a superhero, and there's nothing that I could ever not do. If I tell them I'm going to do something, they know that it's going to get done. And I get on their nerves so bad when it comes to doing stuff. They're like, okay, well, we knew it was going to be good. And I'm like, okay, well, I wanted you to have a little doubt sometimes to say, you can't do this or whatever. But my kids are not that way. They're like, okay, you can do it. Just like the one book that I wrote, Overcoming Childhood Trauma, My Journey to Healing. Now that book was my third one. And I was very lazy when it came to actually completing that book. But my middle child was like, okay, today all you're going to do is sit in that room and write. You're not coming out until you got at least 3 chapters written. And I
Wow.
was like, I don't think I like how you talking to me. He was like, oh, yeah. He was like, you had a goal, you had a deadline, because he asked me what my deadline for that book was. And I told him it was March. He said, okay, well, it's the second week in February, and you haven't really gotten anywhere. So I need you to be in this room. Don't come out. If you need something to drink, you need something to eat, you text one of us, but you're not coming out this room until it's done. And he helped me to stay on task, and I completed the book and everything. But you got to have accountability partners. How well do you feel they play a major role in keeping people on their targets and their goals?
Oh God, I mean, if you don't have a true accountability partner, you're still going to be looking years trying to build, trying to grow, trying to get this done. So, but having a true accountability partner, someone who's going to hold your feet to the fire, and
Mm-hmm.
even like the clients I work with, I tell, hey, you share it with somebody, but I'm
Yeah.
going to hold you accountable. Let's make some
Feet to the
realistic
fire.
goals. I'm going to hold you accountable. Okay, you say you're going to have this done by July 1st. Boom, we're going to make sure we're going to have this done by July 1st. And this is what you said. And so having an accountability partner really boosts you up, because now your accountability partner knows the path that you're on,
Yeah.
knows the goals that you have set for yourself, and if they are a true accountability partner, again, they're going to hold you to that. And they're going
Yeah.
to push you. They're going to push you. They're going to push you. So when July 1st comes around and you're like, God, got Triveda been getting on my nerves. But when you look back, I'm so glad that she held me accountable, because now I have achieved this part of my goal. So
Yeah.
having an accountability partner, someone who's true to their word, someone who's going to be true to you, someone who's going to really push you and hold you up, and
Yeah.
like I said, hold you accountable. That's so very key in achieving your goals. So very
Yeah.
key. So very key.
I like to believe that it is, because I I know some people don't necessarily want me as an accountability partner, because if you tell me you have a goal and a deadline that you want to do something, I'm going to hound you until you actually complete it, and I ain't going to take no for an answer. I'm annoying when it comes to certain things, and especially when I know that you have a goal and a desire, and especially if you come into me with passionate about or what it is that you want to do. If you're passionate about it, then I'm just gonna be just as passionate as it is for you to get it done. And I don't want you to disappoint me. I don't want you to disappoint yourself more than anything. So if you tell me, hey, listen, I want to do this by this date, okay, I'm gonna call you, I'm gonna text you, I'm gonna check in with you, I'm gonna see what's going on. And I pride myself in that when I'm helping somebody complete their book. because they feel like sometimes it might be 12 o'clock at night and they're like, well, I don't want to bother you. Baby, you can bother me. I'm gonna answer your text as soon as I see it. If I hear my phone go off, I'm gonna respond, because that's letting them know that they're important to me. And I want them to know that they're not disturbing me and there's something that they have a legitimate question about. And I always tell them there's really no such thing as a stupid question. A stupid question is one that's never answered or asked.
I
And if
never
you
asked, right?
don't ask that question, how you gonna know the answer? You're just not gonna
Correct.
know. So you gotta ask the question to get the answer. And I really don't believe in saying I don't know, because you can always find out if you really want to know,
Absolutely.
because
Yep.
there's so much information out here. So if you really and truly want to know, you'll figure out how to get it. You know, what are one of your biggest, I want to say, distractions when it comes to having somebody that's really, really stubborn, that talks about what they want to do? How do you get them to budge?
I get them to budge by asking them if this is really what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So that I have to start. Is this what you really want? Do you really want to become an author? Do you really want to start that business? Do you really want it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really, really, really want it. Like, let's get started. And then when they start coming up with all these excuses, I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. You really want it? These excuses,
Excuses don't
you
matter.
they don't matter. So either you want it or you don't. And
Right.
one thing I tell people, either I can't teach passion.
Right.
I cannot teach passion. So
Right.
if you have passion, oh yeah, we're gonna go for it. We're going. I can't teach
Mhm.
passion. I can help
Absolutely.
you get to the edge of passion, but you gotta
Mhm.
you gotta have it in you to take it. And again,
Yeah.
what I do, I paint the picture of where they want to go.
Hmm.
I paint that picture. And if you really want it bad enough, you're gonna do it. And then I
Yeah.
also say, okay, they start talking about distractions, and I come back and say, hey, people make time for what and who they want to
They-
make time for.
Yep.
If you're passionate, if you're really true and want to make this happen, you're gonna make it happen. All
Yeah.
these distractions, and I know life happens. Life happens.
Yeah.
But you're talking about little things. Well, I got a phone call. I need to go to the basketball game. What basketball game? Hold up. You know, well, so and so want me to watch. No, oh, wait, no, no, no. You won't make this happen. So when the
Yeah.
passion steps in, and you're walking in the purpose God has called you in, the
Hmm.
distractions they're gonna come, but you're gonna be able to just block. Hey, get out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm on this track that I got to make this happen.
Yeah.
I'm on this journey. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to
Yeah.
make this happen.
Life will definitely give you some detours, but it's up to you to determine how much you're gonna get that, let that detour take you off course. And sometimes, we're a little hard headed, we're a little stubborn. I know I'm guilty. Hey, you made
Made it. She made it.
it, girl. Amen.
I got tired of talking almost.
It's okay. It's okay. Amen. Look, and it's right on time because we were talking about detours and determination. And listen, God is always on time. He's never delayed at all. He always puts us in the position where we need to be at the time we need to be. Now, we got author Tanisha Linder Briggs with us. Oh, Lord. Now, look here. Now, devil, look here. Go on back and mind your business. Go to your corner. We ain't got time for your foolishness. But she coming back,
She's
and
coming
we gonna
back.
let
Yeah,
her
she's coming.
introduce
There she
herself.
go. All
There
right.
she go.
Okay.
There she go.
Okay.
All right. Now go ahead and introduce yourself, and we gonna talk to you in here.
All right. Thank you. So good evening. Again, my apologies. It's computer, but nobody's mad but the devil.
Absolutely.
Determination. I was determined
That's what
not
I'm
to
talking
call
about.
my 21-year-old son to help his mama. I was gonna wiggle no matter what the obstacles tried to come up against me. I am
Hmm.
Tanisha Linda Briggs. I am the author of How Dysfunctional Drove Me to My Destiny. This is my first published book of many to come.
Yes.
I know you all have met my coach. I call him Coach E. I like to describe him as a great pair of windshield wipers.
Okay.
Because during my journey and still on my journey, things came to try to stop me, that came to try to defeat me. And so Coach E was like a pair of windshield wipers when things were coming up in my.
Look here, devil. She got a story to tell, and we ain't got
He
time for no
would,
foolishness.
give me inspiration and courage, and just look, we're gonna swipe that off, what's trying to come against you, and you're gonna keep going so you can see. So he was the one that kind of helped maneuver and keep my view clear.
And see, I see. Listen,
Oh,
we were talking about determination and drive.
okay.
Perfect timing.
Listen, we can still hear you. We can see you. Ain't nothing going on. We got you. You there? What you doing over there? But talking about driving determination, that's one thing that I always know that
Is it
when
done?
the
Can
devil does not
can
want
you
you,
hear us?
we can
Tanisha, can
hear
you hear
you.
us? Can
We
you
can
hear us,
hear you.
Tanisha?
You might have to text him. I don't know.
Okay.
Can you
Yeah,
hear
we
us?
can hear you.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
not sure what's going on, so I'm not. I'm trying to do this from. I got one computer up and got a cell phone going, so just bear with me. But you see my
I
determination.
love it. I
Listen,
love it.
it's
That's
okay. Cause
right.
don't even feel bad because I got my other laptop over here because the last couple of times I've been on, it's been trying to do its own little thing. So, like I said,
Right.
whenever the devil wants to try to distract
That's
you, he
it.
will do any and everything that
That's
he can.
it.
But when God has
That's it.
something for you, you
It's
can't be
for me.
deterred at all, and you
You
gonna make
cannot.
it to
That
the
perseverance. You have to push. You have to.
absolutely. And
You
so
have to.
your book, How Dysfunction got you where you are, what was it that made you decide to name your book that and to actually move forward to doing it? Because I know that you got that determination spirit to make sure that
Right.
it gets done. Outside of that, what was the other motivating factor to name your book that and to actually just do it?
Right. So the biggest thing, the dysfunction, was everything that went on behind the car. The
Okay.
things, I guess, the trials, the car, the breaking down. And so the
Mhm.
car it was an older car, 1989.
Okay.
And so it was an older car. So, as with anything, get a little squeaking, you need to give it a little WD for it every once in a while. And so it was just the function of the car, like things were not properly working
Okay.
correctly. So that's where the dysfunction came from. It wasn't
Okay.
functioning properly. And of course, the drove is because we're talking about a car. We're talking about how a car drove me, and so my destiny, and I call it my destiny because without the car, I wouldn't have learned the lessons. And
Right.
without the lessons, I wouldn't be walking into my destiny. And
Absolutely.
so I've always had a purpose for writing. I've always been a writer. And so going through the storms and tribulations that's in this book, that I
Mhm.
hope you all will get.
Yeah.
Um I've always knew I've had a voice to inspire and encourage other people. And so I thought, what, I've never been a big, social media person, just want to get
Right.
on and just speak. And so I thought, everybody like to read, they read what they
Mhm.
want to read. And what better way to help a young lady or a male that's
Mhm.
going through a storm similar to mine, or just going through, life's challenges. Life is life,
Yeah.
and let them know, just really encourage. My biggest thing was I wanted to encourage. I wanted to encourage that female or that man that's wanting to give up. Maybe she is a single mother, maybe he is a single dad, maybe they
Mhm.
don't even have kids, just going through life about to give up, don't know where the next meal is gonna come from, don't see the light, don't cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so I thought, what better way to put my story in a book to help others.
And see, that's a good way to look at it. Most people think some people just be writing just to make money.
That's
And
it.
if you make writing to make money, sometimes you're definitely going, I say most of the time, you're going to miss the mark. Because if that is
Right.
your whole goal, you're not doing it for the actual being able to touch somebody, to change
Right.
their life, to let
Right.
them know that you are the blueprint to get over what
That's
they're
right.
going through. They're in the middle of a storm, but if they just keep walking, they'll be
Pushing.
out of the
That's it.
storm. But
That's
if you
right.
stay there, you're definitely going to get soaked and you're going to get overwhelmed in a way to where you're weighed down by the weight of the water. Instead of
Right.
you just kept moving, you'll eventually be well and dry, and the sun is
That's
going to
right.
shine on the other side. So you
Right.
just got to keep walking through the
You
storm.
do. You have to. And
And
that was one of my
that's
biggest
guess
thing
what?
with Coach. I kept telling him, I said, I know that there's, a financial piece, becoming an author, but I kept saying, Coach, I'm not in it for the money. I want people to really see me, the real raw me. None of this is made up. This is real truth. I told him, I said,
Absolutely.
my purpose is God wants real people. It's time
Yeah.
out for making up, and don't get me wrong, kudos to the ones that are writing stories, for fun
Hmm.
and want to, let people hear, well, that sound good. Let's read it. But people really need to know that people are out here going through, but they also need to know what survivors look like. They also need to
Absolutely.
know that if we continue to push and don't give up, because the storms are going to come, the weapons are going
Absolutely.
to form,
But they ain't
but with
prospering.
God, that's right, they're not going to prosper. They're not
Uh-uh.
going to prosper. And you have to surrender. You have to get out of
Yeah.
your way. And that was my biggest thing.
Oh,
I
you
was in
standing
my
in the
way.
way. Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well, I can say I'm one of those people too because I stood in my way for a long time, even though I had
Right.
people saying, "Hey, you needed to do this, you needed to do that." And then my
Hmm.
health took a turn for the worse. I had a stroke at 30, diagnosed with a brain aneurysm and Chiari malformation, lost my speech, lost my ability to walk, and all of
Jesus.
those things. But God said, if you trust me, I'll carry you through. But
Hmm.
you gotta trust me. And
Right.
I'm gonna tell you, it was days I'm like, God, look here. I don't
Yes.
know who child you think I am. And I
Right.
don't
Oh
know what
Lord.
you think I
Oh
got
Lord.
in me. But I'm
Right.
gonna trust you. If you give me
Oh
the
Lord.
strength to get
Hmm.
through
Hmm.
today, I'll be
Right.
good tomorrow. And when I
Right.
tell you, he has got me through to this point right here. And I was talking to my best friend yesterday. I was with her and I was telling her that last year was the first year since 2009 that I have not had an overnight visit in the hospital
My
since then.
God.
And I am
Jesus.
grateful, I am blessed, and I am highly
Yes.
favored. Even with
Yes.
me having issues with my breathing earlier last year, it was
Right.
really, really bad to where I was getting the steroid injections, I was getting the prednisone packs, I was doing the injections and all of that just to breathe. And
Hmm.
God still allowed me to go
Made
into
a way.
the ER, but I was
Oh
able to
my
come
God.
home the same night. So I did not have
Wow.
an overnight visit. And I'm
Right.
grateful that he keeps carrying me because I want people to understand I may not look like I got anything going on with
That's
me,
ooh,
but God shows you what you need to see when you need to
that's
see.
right.
I
He
don't look
will.
like what I've been
What
going
I've
through. I
been
don't look
through.
like what I've ever had going
Ooh.
on. I don't talk like I've had a speech issue. I don't do any of
Right.
that. And that's because God's grace and his mercy, he keeps
It's
me
keeping you.
walking.
That's right.
He's keeping me here because there's a divine purpose that's bigger than me. And just like you said, you didn't do this to be on social media, to do all of
Mm-mm.
that. I'm not a social media person. I might
Right.
post things here and there, but I'm not looking for fame. I'm not looking for
That's
fortune.
right.
I'm looking for what God has for me.
That's
And as
right.
long as he has me in the places and the spaces where I'm supposed to be, I told somebody this last year, and I stand by it now. my schedule is only open for appointments and where I'm supposed to be. And if it ain't on God's schedule for me, don't expect me to be there.
That's
Because
good.
that
I
ain't
love
on
it.
his
I
schedule
like
for
it.
me.
Wow.
Right, right,
Wow.
right.
So
That's
if it ain't
good.
on
That's
God's
good.
appointment book for me, baby, I ain't
Right.
going. So if you say
Hmm.
you didn't see me there or you didn't know why I didn't come, because it wasn't on God's agenda for me to be there. Because I'm
That's
only gonna
right.
be in places and spaces where He had put the appointment in the book for me, and
Right,
that's
right.
all I'm gonna do about that.
I heard
But
that.
what has been your biggest I want to say your biggest roadblock that you were able to overcome to actually get to this space?
Biggest roadblock.
I know you said you was one of those to where you didn't really want to step out, but what helped you to get out of your own
No.
way?
Uh,
Hmm.
I would say my children.
Okay.
Because when you think of young people, they have role models, and a lot of times the role models be people that they can just see on TV screens, or you
Hmm.
know what I mean, the movies
Yeah.
or whatever, read about them. And so I started having conversations about, with my kids, and I'm asking, what path you want to take, and they would say, I want to do this, but I don't know, just really making excuses. And so it was almost like they was using my words back on them. And so
Uh,
I'm like, you can do it, don't give up, stuff gonna come out. And so it was my oldest son, who at the time was fit to go to CDL school,
okay.
um and was working third shift, and just couldn't really see the way, like how all this was gonna come together.
Hmm.
And so I looked at him and I said, you really can do this. And he looked back at me and said, well, why haven't you?
Mm-mm. That hit hard,
And that
didn't it?
that hit real hard. And so at that moment, it was like a light bulb, and the Holy Spirit told me that your children, even though they're boys, they
Hmm.
look to me. I am, and they will tell you, I'm their hero.
Yeah,
I'm the one.
mine
If
too.
my mama can do it, we can do it too. If my
Yeah.
mama can, go through this and go through this and still, see her dreams come true, we can do it. And so they were really my biggest inspiration, just because I wanted them to see the book at the end. I wanted them to
Hmm.
see the published author. I wanted them to see not only, my mom just wrote one book, I want them to see that, you can't stop right there. You got to keep going. And even
Oh,
though
you
things
got
was
some
going to
more
try
in
to, come up against me, I wanted them to see that, let me be the example to my own children. You
there.
understand what I'm
Listen,
saying? And so I'm
I
happy to say that
understand.
my son, he went to school and he finished his he finished school and got his, CDS, and he's
Yeah,
traveling. And so I want to think that even though I didn't go to school for my CDS, I want to think that I know that God used me so
absolutely.
that my son, who has so many odds against him, will keep pushing forward. And so
Yeah.
that's what I want, my children and my nieces and nephews and other, kids, that I'm around it with, to know that, hey, if she can do it, we can do it too. It's not gonna be easy, but with God, God, and that's one thing I instill in everybody. With God, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, without
And
him,
he
you
has to
gotta
be
put him in there.
first. That's
Yep.
right.
You gotta keep him included. And I will say this, I agree with you and your son telling you that, because I had an excuse too. And my
Right.
daughter was instrumental in me being literally on this path right now, because my daughter was away. It was her after her first year in college at Claflin University. And I had told her that I had made an appointment when Virginia College was here in Spartanburg. I had made
Hmm.
an appointment to go and talk to the enrollment specialist, and told her after she had came home for the summer, told her what the date and the time and everything was. And then I told her the day that it came, I told her that I wasn't going.
Uh-oh.
She came in my room and she said, "You get dressed because we got an appointment." And I said, "Yeah, I'm not going. I changed my mind. I'm not going." She said, "Well, I'm gonna give you 30 minutes to get dressed and we getting in the car and we going." So I said, "Okay, fine." I'm gonna go, but I'm probably not gonna find nothing. When I tell y'all, I had every excuse under the sun. And my daughter sat there because I was like, okay, I haven't been in school in 19 years. I got to take an assessment test. I'm not going to do well on it and everything. And my daughter said, look here, mama, I'm going to tell you like this. I have seen you lose your ability to walk. I have saw you lose your ability to speak. You have overcome all of that. And right now, all I hear is excuses. There is nothing that you cannot do. But what you are going to do, you're going to go in there and take that assessment test.
Right.
After you take that test and pass, we're going to financial aid. When I tell you, that's exactly what I did. We went to financial
Wow.
aid. I started my classes on my youngest son's birthday. And so that was that was in 2015. I graduated in 2017 with my associates in medical office administration. I got
Oh,
certified in doing
nice.
that. And I finished, it was supposed to take me 2 years. I finished in a year and 9 months.
Look at
So
God.
it can be done.
It
And I
can.
did it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I left that building a couple times in a stretcher going to the hospital, but I
Right.
was determined to go to class. So I
Right.
didn't let my disability confine
Stop
me
you.
and
That's right.
stop me from doing what I was supposed to do. So
That's
if
right.
you really want it and if God has given you the vision, you're going to see it through because God's
That's
not
right.
going to something that he's not going to help you see through to the end.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to
Mm-hmm.
want it bad enough. And
Right.
God says faith without works is dead. So
It's
what are you
dead. That's
waiting
right.
to do? He wants to see you work and move on your own behalf. So if you're not
Mm-hmm.
moving on your own behalf, God gonna sit there and wait for you too. And we headstrong sometimes and we are stubborn
That's
and we
right.
like to get off course. And when we get off
Mm-hmm.
course, God has his own GPS system. And I
Mm-hmm.
say if you go off course, you know that GPS will say rerouting,
That's
rerouting
right.
inside your head and said reroute and get back on the track that I told you to get on.
That's
Nobody told
that's
you to go over there.
that's
Nobody told
right.
you to go over there.
That's
Now,
right.
I thank you both for being here with me
Oh,
tonight.
yes,
You
ma'am.
know, I definitely want you guys to come to the book release. This is going to be my very first book signing, but it's
Oh,
also
awesome.
a very special event also for my mom. It's my mom. It would have been her 66th birthday on
Oh,
July the
wow.
5th. So I would love to have you guys there with me. Now, what is something that you would leave our guests with tonight? What would be your closing remarks, and then tell them how they can get in contact with you if they would want to have you speak at an event that they have coming up, how they can get your books, and just how they can connect with you. Either one of y'all could go first.
Okay. I'll give a quote that I would, last remarks, and then I'll let Coach give out all the details because I'm sure I'll probably miss something. Um, if I can leave anybody with anything, it would be one, surrender. Surrender to
Mm,
God. Surrender whatever it is. Let it go. It's
mm,
not going to work the way you want it to work. It's only going to
absolutely.
work the way God wants it to work. And if I
Am-
can do it, you can do it too. Thank you.
Amen. How can they
Well,
get your book? You ain't tell us that.
So the
I had to go get one.
so
You know I
the
did.
You had to go get one. I got one right here. So yeah, the book. Contact me, Facebook, Author Tanisha. Send me a message. Or book is on Amazon. Author Tanisha. The book on Amazon is, I think it's a more upcharge. On Amazon only because of the shipping. But
Hmm.
if you do contact me, to get the book, I can sign the book for you.
Absolutely.
So yeah, just reach out to me, Author Tanisha on Facebook, and
Okay.
also Author Tanisha on Instagram.
Okay. Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Now, you know, I said Dr. Surratt. Go ahead.
Well, um, I'm just, I mean, I'm just excited. I'm happy that Tanisha was able to get on and happy to find, talk to you face to face, Triveda, But I'm just going to close out with this. I'm so proud of the work that Tanisha has done to put in this book, and working on some other things. But you know, this is the book, and we will be at your book signing on The 5th.
July the 5th. Yeah.
We're gonna have books there. We're not trying to overshadow what you're doing because I know it's your
No,
event.
you're fine. This is
But
about
those who
sharing
would like to
space.
purchase a book, we will have them there. They are $15, so we will have books there. But you know what? This is a great read. It's a great read. But you know, but got a lot of things coming. But if I want to leave with anything, I always tell people believe in yourself.
Hmm.
Believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, all the doubters go out the door. Believe
Right.
in yourself, but in believing yourself, believe that God has called you for such a time as this. God,
Yes.
believe that God has called you for such a time as this, because we can come up with excuses. We can let distractions get in our way. But when you believe in yourself and know that God has called you for such a time as this, can't nobody stop you. Can't nobody stop you. And like my motto is always expect greater. In all that you do, expect greater. But why? Because there's greatness on the inside of each and everybody. There's greatness on the
Absolutely.
inside of you. But are you willing to allow that greatness to come out and share it and help those such as Triveda, such as Tanisha? You're helping people overcome. You're helping people better themselves. You're helping people. I tell Tanisha all the time, she's saving lives.
Hmm.
She's going beyond helping people.
Absolutely.
She's saving lives because the impact that her
Absolutely.
book has had in the short time that it's been out, it's been remarkable. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
remarkable. So she's literally saving lives because people are reading this and like I said, it's really transparent. And they're going,
Yeah.
wow, you went through this?
And you're
And,
still
and,
standing.
and I just broke a fingernail over here and I'm complaining about a fingernail, but you went through this? I,
Right.
I had to make arrangements on my telephone bill, but you went through this. I don't
Right.
have nothing to complain about after reading your book. You saved me. So believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in what you want to do. And if you need help getting to that destination, getting a roadmap, reach out to me. Reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, Edward L. Surratt, as you see my name there. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I think it's Expect Greater, I believe. That's my motto. That's my daily motto because I know there's greatness on the inside of each and everybody. So, and also, if you can't get Tanisha for a book, reach out to me. I can make sure I can get the information to her to where you can get a signed copy. So, I can keep talking forever, but we're not going to do that because it's late.
Right.
Well, I thank you both for being here.
Thank
And
you.
yes, absolutely. I couldn't wait to talk to both of you after reading your bios and listening in
Right.
on one of the shows that Miss Angela did on TikTok with Dr. Surratt. And I'm gonna keep saying it because it is what it is.
Amen.
But I thank you both for being here, taking the time to speak with me, and everybody who needed to hear what you guys had to say tonight was definitely here. There was no mistake. You came in right on time because we were talking about driving determination. That is
Right.
always God's divine time, and He's never late. He's never denied.
Mhm.
He knows exactly what He's doing when He needs to do it. And I always close out my show with saying this. And that is stay out of God's business. The only thing He needs you to do is be obedient to what He's called you to do. I thank you guys for tuning
All
in. Good
right.
night.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much, Pravita.
Thanks. Bye.
Yes.
And
Bye.
I'm sure you'll have Tanisha back by herself next time.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night, y'all.
Bye
Good
bye.
night.